Welcome back to Bedtime Stories with Honey. I am going to read Little Red Riding Hood, and this version is actually the version that most people are familiar with the Woodsman included. I actually kind of grew up with some of the original Grimms where Red Riding Hood is eaten and not saved and all that good stuff. But it all depends. The stories was when the stories are so old, they can be changed and liberties taken and various authors adjusting things or omitting things, etc. So here we go. Once upon a time, in a cottage near a wood, there lived a cheerful little girl. Her grandmother, who lived on the other side of the wood, had made a beautiful red cape and hood for her, and everybody called her Red Riding Hood. One day Red Riding Hood's mother said, "Your grandmother has been so ill. I want you to take her some nice fresh bread and jam and see if she is better." Little Red Riding Hood packed a basket filled with fresh bread and jam and immediately set out to visit her grandmother. Her mother called out to her as she left, "Stay on the path, do not play along the way, and do not talk to strangers." But Little Red Riding Hood decided to cut through the wood so that she could gather a bouquet of wildflowers for her grandmother. In the wood she met an old wolf. Now this wolf wanted to eat her up, but he was afraid to do so because of some of the woodcutters at work nearby. He asked her where she was going, and when she told him, he ran off as fast as he could towards the grandmother's house. He planned to have a meal of the grandmother, wait for Red Riding Hood, and then eat her up as well. Little Red Riding Hood, finding it very pleasant in the wood, dawdled along picking wildflowers and chasing butterflies. Meanwhile, the wolf had reached the grandmother's house and knocked gently on the door. "Who is there?" asked a voice. The wolf spoke in a tiny voice, pretending to be Little Red Riding Hood.
"It is I, Little Red Riding Hood. I have brought you a basket of fresh bread, jam, and Mother has made, and flowers I picked for you in the wood."
That's totally my version of a big boy wolf doing a little girl voice. Hearing that, the grandmother, who was ill in bed, called out, "Pull the latch and come inside." The wolf did as she said. He rushed into the room and chased the poor woman around the bed. The grandmother took refuge in a closet and held the door tight to keep the wolf out. Just then, the wolf heard a tapping at the door. The old wolf climbed into the grandmother's bed, hiding himself underneath the blankets. He put on the grandmother's nightcap and nightgown and called out, making his voice as soft as possible.
"Who is there?"
"It is I, Little Red Riding Hood. I have brought you a basket of fresh bread, jam that Mother has made, and flowers I picked for you in the wood."
"Pull the latch and come inside,"
replied the wolf. When Little Red Riding Hood came into the room, the wolf, trying to speak in a feeble voice, said,
"Put the basket on the table and come sit and visit with your poor sick grandmother."
So Little Red Riding Hood sat down, but when she saw how strange her grandmother looked, she said, "Oh, grandmother, what big arms you have!"
"All the better to hug you with, my dear," answered the wolf.
"Oh, grandmother, what big ears you have!"
"All the better to hear you with, my dear."
"Oh, grandmother, what big eyes you have!"
"All the better to see you with, my dear."
Little Red Riding Hood looked closer and then said, "Oh, grandmother, what big teeth you have!"
"All the better to eat you with," said the wolf, and he sprang from the bed and seized the little girl. And at that very moment,
a woodcutter who was working nearby heard Little Red Riding Hood's screams and quickly ran into the house, where he chased the wicked wolf into the wood. Soon the woodcutter returned and joined Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother for a slice of fresh bread and jam. Little Red Riding Hood kissed her grandmother goodbye, and the woodcutter carried Little Red Riding Hood safely home, singing, "A little girl must keep in mind what her mothers told her. A little girl must wisdom find by the time that she is older." And luckily she has a chance to find that wisdom because the woodcutter has come and saved the day. a nicer version, right? A more pleasant version that nobody got eaten up. Anyway, that's it. I hope you had a good time. Bye.